Happy to have you aboard here for the Really Big Barbecue Show.
Boing. We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's long?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Libertius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Barbecue Central Show. We talk about all things important in the world of barbecue right here. Fun, exciting, live, local, and late breaking, at least while it's happening right now here on your Tuesdays. Remember, the show is live from 9 to 11 on each Tuesday evening. So if you haven't yet, make plans to join me for a live show. It's great. Still to come on the show, Kyle Riggen, the maker of K-Rigg Barbecue Pit, the pressure cooker barbecue pit. Backyard Barbecue Show on Instant Chat. Grilled cheese with leftover meat is great. Agreed. So I got a lot of email after the show last week asking about the Matt Pittman brisket method. Tell me again, what was it? Wrap here? Do I spread? Very simple. Let me re-go over it because there's literally 4 or 5 steps. And all you need is time. That is the most of what you need, time. If you're looking for a quick cook, if you're looking for something to get out briefly, this is not the cook for you, okay? Putting it out there right up front. This is going to take at least 16 hours if you're following the method, at least. That's not including the hold time. Here's the method. Again, once again, by Matt Pittman. Shout out to Mr. Meat Church. First and foremost, do your trimming, blah, 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 season it up, whatever you like. You put this on the pit. Fat cat up. Fat cap up. That's the whole thing here. That's the biggest curveball. Everybody talking about fat cap down. This is fat cat up. Also, your pit will run for the first 14 hours at 195 degrees. Okay? Get in, get your pit temperature set, whether you have a pellet cooker or a gas cooker, or you can finagle a stick burner into that 195 degree range. However you do it, the method is 195 pit temp for 14 hours. Put it in, close it up, that's it. Then, after 14 hours has elapsed, pull out your peach butcher paper, not foil, peach butcher paper, wrap it tightly in the butcher paper. Then put it back in your pit. Fat cap up. Increase your pit temperature 275 degrees from 195 degrees. So, once again, you're increasing the pit temperature from 195 to 275. Now, the outlying time frame here is for an additional 3 hours. Now, what I would like to tell you is start checking for doneness after that first hour and a half, maybe 2 hours has elapsed. You don't know how the meat is going to change or cook or adapt or whatever. Every brisket is different. So around that 1.5 to 2 hour range, start looking for doneness. If you're not using Wagyu, and I have been told, and I took mine to 108, or scratch that, 208. Higher finish temp. The normal briskets, choice, select, blah, blah, blah. 205, 203, 205. Then hold. Once you've reached the internal temperature, finish. And again, you can tell by how probe tender it is, right? It's given up the ghost. Keep it in the wrap. Go into a dry cooler. Minimum hold time 1 hour. Okay? So again, fat cap up, 195 pit temp for 14 hours. Then wrap tightly and butcher paper. Increase pit temperature to 275 and put back on for 3 hours. Start checking for doneness 1.5 to 2 hours into that 3 hour stretch. Rest in cooler 1 hour minimum. That's it. Easy stuff. Now, I did want to mention, if you follow me on social media, you saw that I got to hang out with the barbecue snob Daniel Vaughn this past Sunday. Always a treasure. Brief recap of the Tales from the Pit fiasco. We talked a little bit about that. Him and I differ a little bit about, was it okay for them to do what they did? Now, again, they've deleted the episode, which I think is ridiculous. Daniel seems to think that it was more on the reckless side because they never reached out to Aaron Franklin themselves. They just went ahead and went off a bunch of research and trusted sources, but says everything was fine up until the point they decided to say, well, the only thing we can surmise after reviewing all this data is that Franklin's either going to sell to somebody else or it's going to close. That's where it became reckless. I disagree. I think that if they feel their research is right, then they put in the work. Now, as I had said after I asked them to come on my show, I also would have lobbed the call and said, hey, just so you know, I'm a run with this. Here's what I see. I'm going to run with this. Is this good? Is this bad? You can dispute it after the fact. I'm going to run with it. Then you've covered all the bases. But, from a show standpoint and an entertainment standpoint, I thought, by and large, from a journalistic integrity standpoint, these days they did pretty good. So if they liked and they felt confident in what they were saying, which they did, again, because they released the podcast, they should have just stuck with it. Then they could have added production on the front side of it after the fact and said, hey, Aaron Franklin did an interview with Daniel Vaughn, said we were way off base. It's actually not going to happen, but this is why we did it. Here's the show anyway. Enjoy it for what it is. We also enjoyed a meal at what I says is the second best barbecue place in Cleveland, which is Mabel's Barbecue. It was also Daniel's cousin that was with second cousin. So we got a little bit of an eat on. Then Daniel Vaughn introduced me to the best deli in Cleveland. Now, it's on the west side, so I have a 77 East Side-itis kind of a thing. The West Siders have it too when you have to go to the east side. But thank God Daniel came to town, because I don't know how long it would have taken me to find Larder Delicatessen and Bakery. Special mention to Jeremy Umansky, who is the owner. Jeremy is a mushroom expert. Not that kind of mushroom, like the wild mushrooms that you can eat. He enlightened me, the likes of which I cannot believe. Oh, unbelievable. I have him set up for October 2nd interview. We're going to go way deep into mushrooms, like you've never seen. He did a mushroom pastrami sandwich. If you haven't been on my Instagram lately, you got to check that out. Unbelievable. It was all mushrooms. Chicken of the woods. You ever heard of chicken of the woods? Evidently, it's a real popular mushroom. It's right here in Cleveland. Hey, let me talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers before we get to the K-Rigg. The one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Their curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies get you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything at Big Papa Smokers has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. From the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers, Big Papa Smokers has something for every type of outdoor cook. Helps you become a better one at that. Now, Whether in the backyard or in the competition circuit, Big Papa's has something for everyone, like the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition scene and in the backyard. They also have teamed up with Simply Marvelous Barbecue to form what's known as the West Coast Offense. That's cornered the market on competitive barbecue. They also own Granny's Barbecue Sauce, an award-winning barbecue sauce, by the way. If you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everyone, Granny's traditional yet powerful flavor reminds us why we fell in love with barbecue in the first place. And aside from their premium selection of rubs and sauces, they also offer a vast array of pellet, charcoal, and wood smokers. For instance, if you're looking for a easy-to-use pellet smoker, the Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill is the one you want to check out. They're the exclusive Mac dealer online, even offers special packages. Not a fan of pellet smokers? Fine. Take a look at the Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker that Big Papa trusts on his competition trail. If you're a backyard barbecue enthusiast and you're looking for a durable and versatile grill that will last forever, the M Grill is just what you need from Texas. And they're built like tanks. If you're not sure what kind of grill you need, you can't go wrong with anything they sell over there at BigPapaSmokers.com. They have a hand-selected selection to help you barbecue better, boost your skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers, the #1 online barbecue store. You can call them toll-free at 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or shop the website, BigPapaSmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA Smokers.com. Kyle Riggen, K-Rigg, coming up out of the break. Stick around, we'll be right back.
The only show giving you a monthly visit from a doctor of barbecue. A man actually named Meathead. The author of a barbecue Bible. Bloggers, reviewers, competitors, and manufacturers by the dozens. It's the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. Hey, Smoking with Smithfield Committed Cooks. Make sure you head to smokingwithsmithfield.com and report your first place prize winnings so you can claim your prizes. Have you registered to compete in the American Royal Pork Loin Ancillary? Smithfield just increased the prize purse to $6,000. Don't forget to sign up for the Smithfield Classic, which will be in Richmond, Virginia on September 29th. To sign up, hit up Jesse at Big Papa Smokers. Jesse, Jessie, at BigPapaSmokers.com. That's Jesse at BigPapaSmokers.com. All right, so I think it was like a month or so ago, I get a link from one of my Centralites showing me this cooker. The barbecue and grilling community can be a bit snobbish on things from time to time. It can be protective of its low and slow heritage. But in this segment, we will take the conversation and put it right on its ear as we learn about a new product that's available on the market. Ever thought about doing barbecue in a pressure cooker before? My next guest has, and now there's a barbecue pressure cooker available for sale right now on the market. So let's go ahead and race to the Traeger Grills hotline and welcome first-timer to the show and the inventor of K-Rigg, Kyle Riggen, joining me here on the show. Kyle, how are you, buddy?
Good. Thanks for having me, Greg.
Bet. Absolutely my pleasure, Kyle. Appreciate you making time for the show this evening. So I guess before we get into the cooker and I guess what some would call the haters, let's back it up a little bit and talk a little bit about what you do for a living and where you're home based out of, all that stuff, and then we'll build into the cooker from there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. I'm self-employed. I have a shop out behind my house and been doing this for about 3 months now. And, that's basically what I do is kind of come up with ideas and kind of try to execute as best as possible with them. So
are you kind of a hired hitman for engineering then? Like you contract on with different companies, or have you had a steady W-2 position with somebody before?
The last W-2 position I've had probably was, 10 years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I actually was part of another business that got sold out of, and so now this is my main gig and see where it takes me.
All right, so K-Rigg is the full-time gig for you right now.
Right.
Background in barbecue. Are you somebody that grew up in a family that loved the live fire stuff, or something that you got into after college and wanted to get chicks and stuff, so you learned barbecue? What's your background?
Oh, my background, I was a Boy Scout growing up. We cooked a lot on, open fires back then, but it was pretty premature and limited. And, I had a electric smoker before this, and I might have smoked 3 or 4 times on it. I think I tried a brisket once and completely ruined it. Could do ribs okay and some chicken wings, but that's about it. And my experience with smoking is very limited.
Wow. So you're like freshly cut wood. You're a little green when it comes to the industry, I guess.
Yeah, I am. And it doesn't. You talk about the haters, but it doesn't really bother me because I don't have any background in it.
Yep.
I think if I had all this experience doing it the old-fashioned way, I would maybe be a little hurt by it. But when somebody comments on like the videos and things of that nature, it just rolls off my back because I have no basis for it.
All right, Kyle. So let's go ahead and take a look at the K-Rigg itself, and just from a operational standpoint, how does it work from start to finish?
Okay. The chamber itself has two chambers. You have an inner chamber, and then you have an outer chamber. And the outer chamber has a 60,000 BTU burner, the length of the chamber underneath the inner chamber. And then underneath that, you have a Honda engine that has been converted to propane and then runs off vegetable oil. That engine, when it started, actually the exhaust goes into a catalytic converter to convert any sort of unburnt hydrocarbons, converts it to CO2 and water, basically. And then that's what pressurizes the actual chamber. And it acts like a convection oven. So it's continuously running, low idle, sounds like a quiet Honda generator when it's running. And it basically keeps just enough moisture in that chamber to keep the meat from drying out, but it doesn't have excess amount of moisture like in a regular pressure cooker, so you're able to achieve the color like you smoke something for hours on end.
All right, so I'm not smart. Let me backtrack here just so I can make sure that I have all the other centralites up to speed here. 60,000 BTU burner that runs full length. That's on the outer chamber, and that runs the full length of the tube there.
Right, so it's inside the outer chamber, outside the inner chamber.
And that's propane fired?
Right.
Okay. Then there's a Honda engine underneath it.
Correct.
That runs on propane?
Right.
But it also needs vegetable oil.
Well, instead of using like a regular motor oil, if you don't want to really eat that, it's a vegetable oil.
Okay. So
which you have to change every about 25 hours of cooking because it will congeal just like fire oil will. But that's the only maintenance you have to really worry about.
And so drop the engine or drop the oil pan plug, drain it out, and then put more vegetable oil in.
Right, and it takes about 0.4 of a quart, so it's nothing, it's not a lot. It takes about 10 minutes, and you do that about every 25 hours of cooking.
And
with 20, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what was the decibel rating on the run of the engine, you think?
I don't have that yet, but it'd be about, when it's all tuned, it's going to be about the same as a Honda quiet generator.
Okay.
So it's it's an engine, but it's you can have a conversation around it.
When you start it up, do you have to then also run the engine the entire time of the cook? Right. I mean, it's all part and parcel.
No. So basically, when you start cooking, you would start the burner first. And that gets the inner chamber hot, and it's cooking about 550 degrees. And you just have the burner on. There's an on position. That's it. And then you put a couple, like a handful to maybe, I've had some users use up to 2 cups of wood pellets. I use wood chips. I'm not a guy that really likes stuff really too smoky. It gives me heartburn. Mm-hmm. So some wood chips, you let, kind of have the door closed, let everything get up to temp. You go inside, get your rub on your meat, and then you come out, put the meat in, shut the door, start the engine, and then you close the pressure cap, and in probably about 3 seconds, you have roughly around 10 PSI. And over time, that PSI drops off a little bit because the pressure release actual regulators, they spring and it starts to get heat soaked, but it drops to about 7 psi, 6 psi. But that's plenty of pressure and plenty of heat, and you need that high heat and pressure. So when that heat gets into the meat fibers, it's actually breaking down the meat fibers and cooking it.
Is that a lot of pressure? I have no idea. I mean, 10 psi doesn't necessarily sound like a lot.
It's not. A regular, like an Instant Pot that you buy off Amazon is 15. The cooker itself is, the barrels are built out of ASME 10 gauge pressure rated pipe. So you probably could put several hundred psi in it without any issues, but it has 2 pressure regulators on it. One that's used, and then the safety one at 15 psi. And so, multiple things have to go wrong for the thing to, everybody always had a comment about they're worried about the thing blowing up.
How would it blow up? Like worst case scenario, how could it blow up?
Worst case scenario I would see is if you had somehow you had a lot of liquid in it, the engine stopped running, both pressure relief valves got clogged. One pressure release valve is basically a radiator cap, so I got an opening of about an inch, and then it would somehow the system would keep enough pressure, to get to a point of several hundred psi. But before that, the engine would have to start running backwards, the system isn't that tight that it would. I can't foresee it ever getting anywhere near that.
Yeah, and then so like the tube itself would then explode or what?
No, I think it'd actually start running the engine backwards.
Oh, I don't even know what that means. That it would just it would just go in reverse. It would suck all the pressure out of it, and it would freeze the meat.
Right, because basically not freeze the meat.
Yeah, that was a joke. Okay, we're running backwards now. See where my mind is? I'm a simpleton, remember?
Yeah. I'm trying to be a little serious on the whole because, I understand how people are, pressure cookers in itself has had a bad rap over the decades. You've seen the pictures of them, destroying a kitchen of somebody leaving it on the stove.
Yeah.
But I've had situations where, like with brisket, we usually put some water in the drip pan that's inside and get it up to heat. And if you move it, you can actually hear that water splash down onto the burner. And you could hear like the steam start creating more pressure than what normally the engine does. And the engine starts to slow down, but the pressure release valve takes care of it. It only raises up like maybe one psi, and that's a flash steam situation. That's like hot water that's probably close to boiling anyway, getting hit on a basically 550 degree plate, and it's flashing. And that's kind of the worst case scenario for anything like this is a flash steam situation. And, when it happens, you watch it and the gauge only goes up about a PSI maybe.
Yeah.
And everything goes back to normal in about 10 seconds.
And that's all sealed off anyway. That's just the water or the liquid hitting the bottom of the tube, and it's just hot, right?
Like in chicken wings and ribs, anything underneath 45 minutes, I don't put any water in the drip tray that's inside there. The drip tray is only there for to catch the grease, so it doesn't go in a hot part of the inner chamber. You don't want that burnt grease, smell or taste.
Yeah.
And so the water for something that's over 45 minutes is only there to basically delay that inner pan getting too hot before the fats of the meat start dripping in that pan to keep that pan itself from flashing off the grease. So all that water is doing is it has nothing to do with the actual cooking of the meat. You're just delaying that heat, that pan being heat soaked to a point where it's not burning grease. So, but that's the only things, like pork butts or briskets. That's the only thing that you usually or beef ribs, anything over 45 minutes.
And how much water are you putting in at that point? I'm sure it sounds like you want to minimize it.
Yeah. It's like the pan itself is about half an inch tall by 6 inches by 27 inches. So it's like maybe a cup of water. So, it's not much. And really that water is probably evaporated, 10, 15 minutes into it. But it gives it just enough time that when the greases start flowing in that drip pan, it's not flashing off and causing, burnt grease smell.
And I got some people jumping in here in real time, and they've missed the first part of the conversation. This thing basically runs 550 degrees, so there's no knob to control the burner or anything like that?
No.
Right. All right. Can you run leads into the chamber for like remote thermometers and Mavericks and all that other stuff in case you want to monitor those internal temperatures?
Yes. So, like, the only way I really cook a brisket is putting a meat probe in it, and then you just sandwich that lead through the O-ring door, and a little bit might, a little pressure might start leaking out, but a little pressure leakage on the whole unit, it's not going to, as long as the engine keep up and keep the pressure going, it's not like you have to have it completely sealed, because that engine's just running and it's creating a, convection oven situation.
Have you thought about running like more PSI or like making a K-Rigg version 2?
Yeah.
Like a 25 PSI or 50 or whatever?
Well, I want to keep it under 15 PSI because if you go above 15 PSI, you get into a lot of legalities with, you need to get, tested as a boiler at that point. So I'm trying to keep the cost on the unit down as much as possible. So anything under 15 PSI doesn't require that certification. And I've actually tried it at 15. I've changed out the regulators, rev up the engine. Engine's louder at 15 PSI. And the food actually gets done quicker, but it doesn't get the color. Like, there's a time difference where you have to kind of have just the right amount of pressure and temperature, because if one gets ahead of the other, then either you get the meat that was done, but it wasn't looking as appetizing as what we've been able to achieve now. So it's kind of in this happy spot. I've been working on this for probably almost a year now.
Wow.
With different variations. My first prototype, nothing to be really proud of from a visual perspective.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, from an initial prototype to what you have for sale on your website now, like, was it 7 revisions or 20 revisions or 3 revisions? Like, what's that process like for you?
Yeah, we're probably at version 6 right now, if I was going to guess. So, version 1 was very rough, proof of concept. Then version 2 started getting into more of like, okay, what would this actually look like if you sold it to somebody? And then the tweaks were, burner length, burner heat or amount of, BTUs burners creating, PSI, engines too, went through several different engines. Yeah. And landed on this, that it's, like everything, anything can have some improvements, but it's something that seems like it's very easy to use from the customers that have it now. And, it's something that I'm constantly going to be making improvements to it at some point, or, while the days go on. But improvements also cost money. And, that seems like a sticking point with a lot of people right now is the cost of the unit.
Kyle Riggen joining me here on the show. K-Rigg, RIGG.com is the website if you want to check it out here while we're talking. Kyle, this is all manufactured here in the country, or most of it, or how's that work out? Everybody talks big about USA this, USA that, but when it comes to actually spending dollars, all of a sudden people don't seem to care as much.
Yeah, so the shop that you see behind me is where I make them. So right now I'm the one producing them, and all the steel I source here locally. Engine, of course, is it's a Honda engine, so it's probably produced in Japan. But all the steel parts, welding, all that is here, and I'm outside of Austin, Texas.
Are you able to source good deals being a small kind of one guy company? And do you feel like you're getting a fair shake? I had some contacts that I've been using, but it's all about numbers. It's one of those things that when you order 5 of them, the cost is higher than ordering 100 of them. Yep.
So it's kind of one of those things that that's the growing pains of something like this is trying to get over that first hurdle from doing everything retail from a supply perspective to actually, okay, now I can plan on making 100 of them at a time. And, then the cost gets driven down considerably at that point.
You a married guy?
Yes. Married with one daughter and another daughter on the way. Probably in another week.
God bless you. Look at you. Oh, my God.
Thank you.
So, do you have to run I would assume a single Kyle would be like, screw it. Let's just order 1,000 engines. We're going to make this thing happen. We're going to get the best deals we could possibly get, and it's going to be sink or swim. When you're married, you got one kid already down. You got one coming in 2 weeks. Probably got be a little bit more judicious in those business plans. So how do you waffle on that decision? Because, as you said, the bigger the numbers, the better the savings, but you don't want to do it too risky or not risky enough and be paying through the nose every time.
Yeah, it's one of. You sound like my parents.
I have three daughters, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's one of those things that I have to remind myself. Okay, hey, I got people, actually relying on me.
Yeah.
But my wife is really understanding. She's the one that's she's always the one that's kind of pushed me, on things like, hey, you can do this, go do it. So I have to really give her credit for that, because I probably would have given up on a lot of things in my life if it wasn't for her. And it's you have a dollar amount in your mind that okay, I have this much to spend, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. And it's going well now. So you just kind of have to see where it goes. And I'd rather try it and say, well, it didn't work, than not try it and ever wonder what could have.
What's the price point?
Right now, it's the retail is $3,999, but I have it on my website for $2,999. It's a huge discount, and I'm just trying to get my numbers up. And that's basically $2,999. I'm not making a dime off of it.
I was going to say, you're either cutting it close, or there's actually some pretty good margin in there to take a $1,000 swipe.
Right. I'm trying to get to a point where this next order of supplies that I got to get, I can do bigger bulk orders and maybe get some margin in there. And I have to get these out to some people's hands. Right now, I have about 9 of them out there.
Mm-hmm. 9 sold or 9 given?
Yeah, 9 sold. So they're out there, already delivered. And so it's one of those things that I have to just get in people's hands, because when people see the videos and the pictures, they're skeptical, and I understand. I mean, somebody's claiming to cook something that's a fraction of time, and everybody's like, well, it's got to taste like crap.
Yep.
Well, it doesn't, and and the hard part about this is I think people are going to have to taste it to buy it, and that's a slow roll. Mm-hmm. And so I have to get units out there so people can actually taste it.
Kyle, can I hold you over for one more segment? We can finish the conversation here. All right, we're talking with Kyle Riggen from K-Rigg, and the website is K-Rigg, RIGG.com. So check it out here while I talk to you quickly about Cook Shack. That's right, manufacturing smoker ovens for barbecue lovers with any amount of experience, whether you barbecue in the backyard, on the competition circuit, or in a 5-star dining facility. Cook Shack has the unit that will do the job, and with a full line of barbecue sauces, spices, pellets, and wood chunks, it's the perfect one-stop shop. Cook Shack strives to be your barbecue resource center by offering cooking classes, online recipes, how-to videos, 2 blogs, smoke and grilling 101s, and a video cooking classroom. Check out their website at cookshack.com, or follow them on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Pinterest, and Google+. Get advice and share your passion for barbecue on their world-class barbecue forum. They actually have one of those still. Cook Shack pellet-fired smokers are the choice of champions because they were designed by a champion, Ed Fast Eddie Morin. The FEC 100, PG 1000, always customer favorites. The PG 1000 can actually double as a smoker and a grill. Low and slow, hot and fast, the pellet grill line gives you the most for your money. Cook Shack residential electric smokers, if you're not into pellet smokers, the #1 smoker in the industry. High quality means high durability and versatility. Anything you can make in your oven, you can make in a Cook Shack. Passion and dedication drives Cook Shack's manufacturing, with quality always being at the forefront. Get the best in barbecue since 1962. Call 800-423-0698. That's 800-423-0698, or visit cookshack.com. We are back with Kyle Riggen to talk more K-Rigg. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Hey, welcome back. We're talking with Kyle Riggen from K-Rigg. Kyle, thanks for hanging with me through the break here.
Thank you.
So doing, the 3 or 4 initial cooks on those or on that electric smoker, is that where you decided that pressurized barbecue needed to be implemented, or like how do you make the leap from a couple marginally successful cooks to, man, let's build this brand new way of thinking? I mean, it's kind of a departure.
Back in probably when I was in high school, we always went out in West Texas to this place that had ribs only on Friday. It was a bait shop / barbecue place. And I just remember some of those best ribs I ever ate in my life at that place. And it's called Big O's. And I don't know if it's actually true, but the saying was that he smoked them / pressure cooked them. Like either pressure cooked them a little bit and smoked them. I mean, it was one of those things that you could almost chew on the bone. It was that tender. And so, I've been exposed to some pressure cooking and things of that nature. And, the pressure cooking always leaves a horrible, horrible color to it. It's a gray. And people, usually put them in an oven to try to get them colored up. So I was like, well, that's when I started kind of tossing this on my head is how do you do this? Get the color. It's more of an outdoor unit. Get the color, get the taste, and it'd be a one-shot kind of deal. And I just kind of acted on it, and that's how I ended up here. Never thought of it.
And you're like you're in the heart of barbecue country. You said you're just outside of Austin.
Yeah, but even at that, it's Aaron Franklin's just south of us, and I've never had his food. I've actually read his book. It's the only kind of education I have on barbecuing. I actually borrowed it from a friend that said, "Hey, you need to read this." I was like, "Okay, yeah, I do," and learned a lot, which is good because before that I didn't know how to really cook a brisket correctly, and I probably still don't. I have a good friend of mine that has a K-Rigg, and he was more into the competitive scene, and he's really kind of taken off with it and taught me a lot. It's just one learning process. So I'm probably the last guy on this earth that probably should have came up with this idea. Because my background in the barbecue world is very limited.
Yeah. So traditionalists obviously are going to poo-poo on this for any number of reasons. No fire. There's a motor. Right. There's pressure, time reduction. The list certainly could go on and on. But let me take a different direction to a certain degree. I totally get convenience, and this may sound a bit hypocritical of me, but I love to live in the world of hypocrisy. It's like rule number 14 of my show. But given the fact that, and because I have 3 pellet cookers on my patio right now, but isn't the idea of pressurized barbecue pits continuing to feed the laziness of America? Like, shouldn't we be forcing somebody to do something a little bit longer or a little bit harder? And yet, as a society, we continue to focus on making shit easier and easier and easier. Now we can do 10-pound briskets in 2 hours. What are you doing to the world, Kyle?
I understand that because I have a hard time. I hate cell phones. I hate, social media. Like, I wish I could just get rid of my cell phone. So the whole, always having to be connected, always go. That's not my personality. But my engineering part of me, I like to take what somebody is taking as an art and really perfecting an art, which takes a lot of talent, a lot of effort, a lot of time. And I like to find ways to take that into a process, which, the artist hates. If I can take a process that is very artfully done and then do it where somebody that has no experience whatsoever can achieve similar, if not better better product from it. That's what I really enjoy doing. And so it was my desire for this was, I do love barbecue ribs. Like if I'm going to go into a place, I'm going to eat barbecue ribs. Mm-hmm. But I like the electric smoker. I'm 4 hours. So, that's a whole Saturday. And, I'm not the kind of guy that will sit around a cooker for 4 hours. And if I do, I have to plan it out. I mean, it has to be a weekend. And so it's like one of those things that I guess my inability to wait is kind of what spawned this. And, you get home now from work and fired up, and by 6:30 in the evening, you have ribs. So,
capacity wise, what are you looking at?
A 12-pound brisket fits in it just fine. It's about 8 inches. The grill on the bottom's 8 inches by 27 inches deep. Got about 7 inches height. So one regular size brisket fits in there just fine. With the 2 racks in there, you can do, fill them up with chicken wings. You probably do 50 chicken wings. You can do 4 baby rack ribs in there. And the neat thing is you can actually kind of lay things on top of each other, like the ribs you can lay on top of each other. And you don't really have to worry about the smoke not getting into something because the pressure just shoves it everywhere. And, so, for a cookout, it's a little different in your planning because usually like what we've done in the past is you do your brisket. Usually it takes about 2 hours when you're to about 190. You wrap it up, put it in a cooler, and then you can do your ribs and your chicken. And by the time that brisket's ready to come out and slice, you got everything ready to go. So you're 3 hours into it.
Are there any notable barbecue personalities that are using your cooker? I mean, I get that sometime promotion is the mother of necessity, so you might gift one out here or there. Maybe you're, inclined to send one up to Cleveland to send. But
if you're ever down in Austin, you're more than welcome.
Look at you! I like it. But I mean, is there any like personality that's using it right now that can attest?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I would love to, have that interaction and that introduction with somebody. Just hasn't happened yet. But the Facebook video went viral on me, yep. And of course I've gotten out a huge. I can't keep up with the emails and notifications, and everybody wants to review it and everything. And I just don't have the manpower right now. I'm having a hard time just keeping up with. I'm not at that point of hiring people yet, so I'm having a hard time just keeping up with the orders I have. And it's one of those things that I would love to send out a couple free ones to people. Just at some point, I will get there.
Do you think that it cooks a certain food better than others, or is it pretty universal?
Yeah, it's hands down. I think actually vegetables like potatoes, okra, corn, that stuff just absorbs all the spices, all the smoke. I mean, the baked potato and corn that comes off of this is really awesome. And then you move down to like chickens and pork, pork ribs. Seems like you have to be really careful with the pepper. Like if you put pepper on a pork rib or chicken wing like you normally would on a smoker, you'd be burning your mouth because the actual pressure kind of breaks down that spice and then shoves it down into the meat. And that chicken and pork seems like it has more of a porous meat that it goes all the way in, and it will burn, like just regular black pepper will burn your lips with this.
Wow.
If you're too heavy on it. The beef, brisket, and beef ribs, you can season it more like a traditional smoker. It just seems like there's those fibers in the beef take longer to actually open up and break down, and so it doesn't get overly spiced if you're not too careful with it. But the pork. I usually when I put things in this, I toss them in some barbecue sauce, put some salt and pepper on it, and that's it. And then you're eating it without sauce when it comes out. There's no need for sauce. And I know a lot of people say that, but I haven't put a sauce on anything coming out of this.
You had mentioned that you're getting a lot of requests. There's a lot of notifications. You haven't hired anybody else yet, but at some point, I would assume you're going to have to decide to start bringing people on. Are you always going to look to work off of a lead time, or ideally, would you like to see something where you have stock available?
Yeah, I think at some point I have to get stock available, especially around probably Christmas. Because I can see something like this might be a Christmas present for somebody, and they're not going to be excited about waiting 4 weeks after Christmas. But it's like anything. You just gotta get the capital going and get the orders rolling, and that's kind of like this next step.
America loves bigger and better. Would you build a bigger unit?
It's been rolling around. Don't really know how I'm going to pursue that. I think you just have to wait to see what comes of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, because I've been approached by restaurants and things of that nature. I just don't know how I'm gonna play that.
That could be the avenue that makes the millions, right? The pressurized barbecue cooker for the barbecue restaurants.
Right.
Nice. Kyle Riggen created K-Rigg, K-Rigg, RIGG.com. It's a pressurized barbecue cooker. And if you were watching on video, you're seeing all the food that it was turning out. So certainly from a photography standpoint, we can attest to the color it's achieving as well, aside from the quick cook times. Kyle, really appreciate you coming on and talking about the K-Rigg and letting us get to know you a little bit better. Thanks for doing it.
Well, thanks, Greg. And if you're ever down in Austin, let me know.
I sure will. There he is, Kyle Riggen. K-Rigg. Yeah. Like it. I'm going to shut me down.
All guests appear via the Traeger Grills hotline.
Send one over to Cleveland. Or if you come down to Austin. I like it. I'll see you work. All right, so instant reaction. What do we think? So right now it's $3,000. I imagine it's going to pop back up to that $4,000 after that initial run, or whatever time frame he's looking at in order to get that second order. So to me, it sounds like he's working off that initial run right now and then trying to stockpile and then go for that second order, which would be the bigger order. So sacrificing margin potentially by leaps and bounds, kind of right at the zero mark. Probably not at zero, but definitely $1,000 off a $4,000 deal is quite a swoop here. So we'll see how it goes. I'm interested in hearing what the snobs have to say. You guys dig it or hate it? Man, I want to hate it, but I'm pretty progressive. I got to be honest. I'm a lot more progressive than most of you people. So I would like to see the success here. And he's right. People need to taste it. That's what I'm thinking to myself. Do I want to spend $3,000? I want to taste it first. We'll see where it goes. I'll keep track. You know who's established? The Barbecue Guru. Damn right. Longest running sponsor of this show. We've always believed that outdoor cooking should be easy because it can be, especially with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. The Monolith is the world's first temperature-controlled smoker with a built-in power draft fan. This means smarter control, greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature and let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or a barbecue pitmaster. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill. You can serve the tastiest, juiciest of meals each and every time. Come on, doesn't get easier than that. You can visit the website, bbqguru.com, or you can call them 800-288-GURU. That's 800-288-GURU. Ask them all the questions that you might have. Don't guess. Because, hey, you want to make sure you got it right. Again, that's the Barbecue Guru. Also, the rib rack. Don't forget about the rib rack. Oh, yeah. If you got a ceramic cooker or you have a big offset, you can double, maybe triple the amount of ribs that you can do. You can even stick a whole chicken in the middle of it if you want. Up to 6 ribs. We're back to wrap the show right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best Triple X show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rimpey.
National Barbecue News, dedicated to all things barbecue. Their goal to introduce new people to the barbecue world while keeping the barbecue enthusiast and professional informed on all the current happenings in and around Barbecue Nation. They obtain this goal by offering timely news stories, new product reviews, barbecue event calendar, and unique recipes inside their printed products, website, social media pages, and email newsletter. Subscribe now by visiting barbecuenews.com. Now, let me see if I can do this. Widgets, live, comments. This work? Widget not yet authorized. Right click. Okay. Let me see if I can get this. Right click. Authorize export to Facebook. Really? Have to log in. I don't remember the last time I logged into Facebook. Is that even the right password? I'm trying to see if I can get this comments thing going. All right, it says I'm connected. But it's probably not to the right thing, right? Right. John.
Yo.
Pressure cooker barbecue. What do you think?
I think it is flipping awesome.
You do?
What? It's.
Are you not ready to hate?
No, I mean it's like it's not boiling water in a bag and a brisket. It's actually fire. It's actually wood chips. It's cool looking. Here's somebody who's trying to do something. You know, I'm not running out to buy one, mind you, but it's like, hey, I'm excited to follow it.
So where's the price point for you have to be to get you excited enough to go out and try it, like buy it?
I'm not going to lie, man. I'm close at the $29.99.
3 is better than 4, right?
Yeah, I'm like, it's like on sale, but I'm never the one to get the brand new iPhone. I always got to wait and let, it's brand new. It's going to have some, but it's like, I thought about it hard when I looked at that. I'm not going to lie.
Conceptually, you're not going to take a dump all over it because it's not offset and 20 hours and all this other stuff, or because it's something new, you don't have any aversion to that. A lot of people do.
Oh, and I do. I don't, just because, first of all, in the vein of Tim Allen, it's got a motor on it. It's creating pressure, and it's got a big chamber, and I can cook ribs in 20 minutes. I mean, and if they're tasting good, I really can't argue with, hey, what's show rule number 4?
If the meat's good, something good's got to happen?
Exactly.
Oh, all right. I got my own rules right. Thank God.
I'm telling you. So it's like, no, I think it looks cool. It looks like it's well built. Has it got legs? I don't know if it can survive. He's got some startup issues. People are going to be climbing all over it if it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. You got like all the cookers, so I just always wonder where your level.
I don't have them all, but
you got to play.
I will. Yeah, I will eventually have them all.
That's right. Just like all of us want. We will all have them all. All right. Thank you, John. John, not averse. Like it. Outside the box thinker. Just like me. Not ready to poo-poo on everybody's parade. Let's see. Here we go. The boater. I don't even know what other $3,000 cookers are out there. Well, offsets you can make good. John's out. It'd feel weird if the show went smoothly. There's been no technical issues here tonight, Steve, by the way. So good on me and good on John. Yeah, always. Yeah, the widget not working is not a technical issue. Don't worry. That took 8 seconds. Last week was a whole technical issue. No doubt. No doubt. All right. Well, I'm not sure how I missed that time frame, but that's all right. We'll go ahead and get ready to head on out. That's right. All the way back in the first hour. We talked with Sam, the cooking guy, Zion. Sam Zion is not tacoing, not bringing thermometers into steak restaurants to help me out. Thanks, Sam, for nothing. He's also going to be at the Bet on Barbecue event at the Del Mar Racetrack. That's hosted by Sean Walchef and Derek Marceau, amongst others. Behind the Smoke podcast. Celebrity judges are going to be there to include Jim Trotter. Sterling Ball will be there competing. Good luck, Sterling, as well as everybody else that'll be out there. Looking for the winner for next week. And then in the second hour, we talked with Kyle Riggen from K-Rigg, K-Rigg, RIGG.com. Check it out if you're in the market for a new cooker that has new forethought technology and all that stuff. Might be something you might want to take a look at. Plus $1,000 off now. $1,000 off. $3,000. I don't know if that includes shipping or not. Steve D weighing in. I vote put the show back into one long podcast if you're still taking votes. I'm not taking votes, and I'm not doing that. It's 2. Piece it out, Steve. I know you can do it. So, again, if you're interested, check out Kyle's cooker, K-Rigg, K-Rigg, RIGG, K-Rigg.com. It will be in the show notes, of course. Huge show planned already next week. Very excited. Stephen Reichlin, among others. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe, first saying...
Start the game! Let's go!
And secondly... saying good night now.